So yesterday, I usually go live at 8 o'clock, right? On the weekend, I was quite busy. I was with friends in Cincinnati on Friday. We had a little team potluck dinner, and then I stayed overnight at Pat's house, and Tracy and Pat and I think we talked till, gosh, 1:30 in the morning, and so it was about 2 till I went to bed. And then I came home and did some things, and then I met friends and went to the Picnic in the Pops with the Columbus Symphony Orchestra, and Christopher Cross was the guest musician. Got home 11 or so, and I was just kind of keyed up, couldn't sleep, so it was again up till about 2 in the morning. And since then, I just had insomnia, and like really have not been able to get more than like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So, and yesterday it just really caught up with me all of a sudden. About 6:30, I kind of was losing focus and getting a headache, and I just thought, oh, this is not good to go live when I'm feeling that way. So I rescheduled for today. Took some time last night to just kind of decompress and put all the work aside and relax a little bit. Did finally get a better night's sleep, not a great night's sleep, but much better than I had. So I'm feeling good today. Been busy working like crazy, trying to get some things scheduled and prepped, and hopefully get some blog posts and things going for you to have something to see when I'm on vacation next week. Just a quick reminder, I am leaving on vacation tomorrow afternoon, and I will be gone through the 30th, if not the 31st. So there will be no Facebook Lives tomorrow or next week. But be sure and check out stampinpeace.com, because I will be doing some posting there, and hopefully to Facebook as well, just so that we can stay connected and know what's going on with each other. All right, who's ready for a demonstration? Okay, today I'm pulling out an old stamp set. It's current. It is in our, once again, it is in our annual catalog. Excuse me. You know, gosh, I hope it is. I think it is. I think I cleaned off my shelf. Won't be embarrassed if it's not. Yes, it is. Forever Fern. I don't know what made me question myself all of a sudden. I guess it's been around a while, and I used it a lot in the winter to make Andrea's wedding invitations and such. So started questioning myself. But we're pulling Forever Fern from the annual catalog. And it's sort of, to me, a classic stamp set, because it's great for so many different occasions, and it appeals to so many people. But the new product I'm going to be using is our masking paper. And I'm going to show you a couple of fun ways to use that masking paper and give you some additional ideas as well. I'm going to flip my camera around now. While I do that, please invite others to join us by sharing this Facebook Live. Okay, here is a sample that I made earlier today. Featuring the Forever Fern stamp set. And at first glance, if you are not familiar with our products, you might think, well, gosh, Mary had a piece of designer series paper and just ripped it and tore part of that paper to put on her card. Nope, not at all, just stamping. And there's no torn paper here. So it's sort of a faux torn paper technique, because sometimes we tear our paper and lay it down to give us that look. But this is something different, and I created this by using our Stampin' Up! Masking paper. This is brand new. You'll find it in the annual catalog. It comes in a package of 12 5x7 pieces, okay? 12 5-inch by 7-inch pieces. So it really goes a long way. Typically, you're not using a lot of it at one time. And when I first pulled out a sheet, I mean, it was very flat. I've been using sheets and pulling them out, so now it's easier for me to tell. But I thought, gosh, I can't hardly even tell the front from the back. There is a trick for that. On one of the sides, there's a slit down the center. And this is the backing that you pull off, and it has this. So these masking papers really act like big sticky notes. The main difference being they are sticky on the entire sheet, not just the little top of the sheet, like a sticky note or Post-it note is. So let me show you how I used my masking paper to make this. And actually I have a partial sheet in here that I'll use instead of cutting this one. But whenever you're cutting, just think about that. Where is the back side? Okay. Very easy to find. Even though at first glance, when you first pull out the sheets, it might be hard to tell the difference. So I have a piece of white cardstock that measures 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, 5 by 3 3/4. And I just want to mask off a small portion. Here, I use that masking paper and put it on what is the side of the paper. Of course, you could turn it any way you want, right? That's the beauty of this particular design. I started out thinking I would have it at the bottom, but then I thought, oh, it would kind of look neat to have it on the side like that. So I'm going to do something similar to this right now. So I'm going to, and you can cut, or if you're doing the tearing paper technique, you can just tear it from one of your sheets. So this is the same width, 5 by 7. It doesn't have to be. If you need something longer, cut it in the opposite direction. So since I'm doing the torn paper technique, I'm just going to tear some of this off. If I were doing something different, I might choose to cut it with my paper trimmer. Put that there. I'm going to pull off the backings. Now keep in mind that it's sticky everywhere. And I only use mine once. The reason being, if you use it and then go use it again, first of all, I'm stamping over it. But if I use it repeatedly, I find that if I pull it up after a second or third use, it kind of damages the paper a little bit, the cardstock. So and again, you're only using a small amount at a time, but my suggestion is that you use it sparingly. And I like to just do this a little bit. It takes away some of the stickiness, but it still clings and will stick very well. So when you're ready to put it down, and I'm going up beyond the edge here, nice thing about the torn paper technique is you don't have to worry about it being perfectly straight. You kind of want your ends to match up. And then where I'm going to be doing the stamping, I do press that edge down. The rest, I don't worry about adhering it real firmly. It's okay because that will allow me to pull it up more easily. The other thing is if you leave some of it overhanging, that also allows you to pull up the masking paper when you're finished. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to make this card, but I'm going to make it the opposite direction. Instead of having my white masked area on the right, I'm going to have it on the left this time. It could be at the bottom, it can be at the top, it could be whatever you want. But I'm going to use it so that my white masked area is on the left side of my card. And after that, I'll show you something completely different, not left, right, top, or bottom. something very different. So the first thing I'm going to do, and you don't necessarily have to do this part, but I just think it kind of adds to it. Oh, Kathy, hot in the mountains of Colorado. I bet it's beautiful though. Kathy and I emailed a bit, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. She won a card from the last Facebook Live. So she emailed me her address and we just chatted a little bit back and forth about where we were each from. So I'm not going to go real heavy on this. You can go as light or as dark as you want. And I'm going a little heavier right around the edge and softer on the way out. And this is Sahara sand I'm using. I just wanted a light neutral. That way when I pull up the masking paper, there's even more definition to that edge, that line. And of course, if you wanted to do a straight line, you can do that also. I have all kinds of ideas for this. We're not going to be able to do them all tonight, but I will definitely be using this again and showing more fun techniques. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I think I'll use, trying to decide. I love these greens. This one is Evening Evergreen. And I'll do something like this. And you can honestly stamp it any way you want, right? And I'm going to put some soft succulent in there. Not sure how I want to go with this. I've changed it. I'm changing it up from my first one, so this is kind of throwing me off a little bit. Maybe I don't want this one so much because I use this as my focal, my first one. I think I do. Just adds a little bit different interest. The thing I like about this set is it has several different leaves, shapes and sizes to them. But sometimes it kind of stumps me like it is now. All right, so then I'm going to add some small leaves with the Sahara sand. Get a little more green in here. Let me pull in, I'm gonna pull this one in. And use some more Evening Evergreen. This is super juicy. My ink pad is a little too juicy actually. I was tapping that first one a little too much. The detail shows up better if I'm tapping more lightly. And then I want to add a little contrast here, sort of a color that pops to me, and this is Mary Merlot. Now these are kind of, it's kind of a classic color combination in my opinion, because it's so versatile, and I would think it appeals to many different people. So I've used Sahara sand for the masking, and then, or the blending, I've added Sahara sand leaves, which I meant to do soft suede, Evening Evergreen, soft succulent, and now I'm using Mary Merlot. It kind of gives it a pop of color. These stand out a little bit then from all the greens, which I like. And I would say, I think that's pretty good. So I kind of have a little bit of an L shape. Might want to go out just a little bit more over here, not sure. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm ready to pull this up. And when you pull your masking paper up, remove that so it might be a little easier to see this way. Pull it, don't pull straight up, kind of roll it. And then I'm just dragging it. It's really, I'm gonna hold it this way so you can see. I'm really just dragging it straight across. I'm not pulling up, I'm pulling across. And if you do that and do it slowly, slow and steady, it comes off really cleanly, has not damaged my cardstock at all. In fact, I'll hold this up closer so you can even see. Has not damaged my cardstock at all. But now I've got this pretty faux torn edge. I say faux because it's still just one piece of cardstock. It's not a torn piece laying over the original. Now, what I want to show you is, number one, I've already used this to stamp on, so it could be a little much if I want to add more stamping or do another project. The other thing is when I pull up, you can see how it gets kind of ripply. That's because that adhesive on it has kind of moved around. The paper has puckered a little bit, so it's not perfectly flat like it was when I first pulled it out. So this is really a reason why I don't like to reuse any of these pieces a second time. I just want to use them once, one and done. And it's very economical to buy the sheets. In fact, I don't want to tell you the wrong price, so I want to check. What is it here? You all know we have a nice accessory index in the back of our annual catalog, and I'm looking for adhesives. So page 127. Oh, I forgot to tell you all about my big distraction this evening. Remind me before we finish. Okay, so number, what is it? I was thinking it was number 6. Now I can't find the masking paper. Is it in? Okay, I'm going to have to look because now I can't remember. I thought it was right there on the adhesive page. I will look it up and I will post it. Okay, that has me stumped, but I'm thinking it's about $8 for the 12 5x7 sheets. All right, let's finish off our card and then we'll do some more masking techniques. So my white stamped piece is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And I'm mounting this on a piece of Mary Merlot cardstock that measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 inches. And then I'm going to use an Evening Evergreen card base. Evening Evergreen card base. And I'll put basic white on the inside. This measures 5 1/4 by 4, which you probably all know that if you've been watching, because that's a pretty standard size. All right, so now we need a sentiment. I am going to use this one, To a Friend That Makes Me Smile. And I've got a scrap of basic white, and I'm going to stamp this with the Mary Merlot. And I'm going to punch it with this, the Essentials Tag Punch. And the reason I'm pulling this out is I want to know which direction to put my paper in. See what I'm saying? If I stamp it this way and put my paper that way, it's really not what I want. Janelle, you are marvelous. 149. Why is it on page 149? I think of it as an adhesive. But I guess it's not really because we don't, that's my bad. I guess not really because we aren't using it to hold things together. So I guess I was totally wrong. Okay, I'm seeing two very different prices here. I was thinking it was more the $7 or $8. Yes, Kathy, pulling a pretty coordinating ribbon along there would be gorgeous. And we have these greens. Oh, even this natural ribbon, I pulled this out. Look how pretty that is on there. Okay, it is $7. Okay, great. Ladies, thank you so much for pulling that page number, price, and item number for me. I appreciate that. And I'm going to adhere it this here. The other thing, before I adhere this, you know how I said you could take this piece, if you're masking one side or the other or the top or bottom, that can be the area where you stamp your sentiment. For example, here's a long sentiment here, love and laughter forever after, or you can do this. How pretty that would be to stamp the sentiment right on that white space. Or you can do it this way. This would be gorgeous with that wisteria stamp set we have, where the wisteria would be hanging down and you could put your sentiment right up here, maybe a little bow or something else. So play with it. Once, you know, you make a design, see if it's something that you can turn and twist and flip and make it look like something completely different. I mean, when I turn it this way and see the white at the top, the first thing I thought of was that wisteria stamp set, because I think of the purple wisteria flower hanging down. But just know that you have lots of options with this technique. So I'm going to place this here, and then I'm going to just make a simple bow with my natural woven ribbon. This is super soft. I would say it's sort of along the lines of a gauze. It's not as thin as a gauze, but it's very soft and super flexible. There's nothing stiff about it. And it's also very thin. Like, look at that 2 layers. Look at the knot of the bow is thin. Okay, so it doesn't create a whole lot of bulk, which is one of the reasons why I love it. It's just super easy to work with. If people like sort of that shabby chic look or antiqued look, I think of this as something that enhances that look. Oh, I might want to move this in a little bit more. And where are my glue dots? Here they are. As you know, if you've been with me for a while, to me the easiest way to adhere bows is to tie your bow and then place a glue dot on the back, right on that knot. I might want to turn it this way. Oh, I kind of like it this way better, I think. Seems to be kind of framing the sentiment a little bit more. So a different use of the bow, totally different direction, and that's okay too. All right, and lastly, I need just a little embellishing for this. So I'm going to use a few of the rustic metallic dots. Love my take your pick tool for picking up and placing my embellishments. Do any of you have this? This is the best $10 tool I have in my entire craft room. And if I would lose this or anything would happen to it, I would, oops, I want 2 small ones. I would replace it in a heartbeat. And I don't use it just for picking up embellishments. If I am working with, say, small letters, I can use that putty tip to pick up my cardstock letters and stick them to my scrapbook page or whatever I'm making. And that's pretty awesome. It also has this piercing tool for piercing holes if I want to make a banner and pierce a hole into it, or if you're using brads, all kinds of things. Yes, it does beat trying to pick up embellishments with fingernails. The other thing is it has this also. Some people like to use the piercing tool or this little spatula to pick up their embellishments. But all kinds of things you can do with it. Like I said, one of my favorite tools, just $10. All right, so there is our first card. Let's make another one, and this time I'm going to show you a totally different way to make a design or a card layout with this masking paper. So I have, oops, I don't know where my, hold on. Okay, I think I had it out and put it away. And now I'm looking for my scrap paper again. There we go. So this time I'm going to use a larger piece. This is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Okay, 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And so now I want something that's at least the 5 inches long. So I'm going to need to cut some of this. Well, I guess I don't need to cut it because I'll be tearing. Let me think about this a second. You know what? It'll be easier to work with if I just cut some first. So this time I'm cutting the length of it. Okay. And remember, there's a front and a back. Okay. But I just cut it the opposite direction. So I'm not going to have that slit there, but that's okay. I can make this work. It's just remembering which side is which. There we go. Okay, so this is my sticky part. So now I'm just going to tear along this long edge. Just like I did for my first sample. But this time I'm going to tear along the second edge as well. If I can get it started here. There we go. All right. And what I'm going to do with this is a little more tear on this side. Pull off the backing, and I'm going to set this right along the center. And I could do it, you know, different angles or more top, more bottom, but this time I'm going to do it right in the center. Okay. You've probably seen me in the past, before we had this nice masking paper, doing a torn paper technique where I did something like this and added stamping, but I was holding the piece of torn paper down, or I was putting it down with washi tape. Using the masking tape makes it so much easier, right? It's all those little things that help us. So now I'm going to do some stamping again, and I'm going to start with this. I'm going to use more of the small ones, I think. Okay. And I'm going to stamp on both the top and bottom sides of that masking paper. I'm going to add some of my fun Mary Merlot. I don't know if these are berries. They kind of look like pods to me. One thing when you're doing this, top and bottom, above and below the masking paper, be careful that the other end isn't necessarily going on to the other side, unless it's intentional. Because you might take like a big stamp, say for like this. Now, do you really want that stem sticking out on the other side? Okay, so just be aware of that if you decide you want to go this route. Then I'm also going to go in with some soft suede. And did you notice I did not do the blending to start with? Just a matter of preference. You can if you want to, you don't have to. Just something I did on the other one. Whoops. Sort of like even making your own DSP, isn't it? And then finally, I'm going to add some of this splatter with the, what color is that? Mossy Meadow. And when you have something like this, try it. Do you want it full strength or do you want to stamp off? I kind of like the stamp off look, though I got a little crazy right there. So stamp off means I ink up my stamp and I stamp off some of that ink onto a scrap paper before I stamp on the actual cardstock. Move it around. I kind of think, you know, if you twist and turn the stamp and make it look more random, to me it's more interesting, more balanced. Some people like a teeny tiny bit of splatter. Here you can see I'm doing a little bit more. So now it's time to remove that masking paper. Remember, do not pull up. Do not pull straight up. Oh, Michelle, you're on a mini vacation. How nice. I know I'm excited about going on vacation with my family tomorrow. We're leaving tomorrow. I'm driving with Andrea and John, and now here you can see it kind of pulled up, or I guess it didn't. It left a little bit of, teeny tiny bit of sticky, and I can just pick that up with this adhesive eraser. Oh, perfect. Now it's nice and smooth. Okay, so this is what we have. Isn't it gorgeous? Okay, depending on what you want to do with it, I could put something right in the center. I think I'm going to try and decide if what I like is the top or bottom. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, does it? I don't know. Should the bigger it really doesn't matter, Mary. Move on. Is that what you're thinking? Okay, how about I'm going to do this. This would be pretty for like a fall wedding. And that's part of the big distraction I had just a little bit ago at 6:30 that I want to tell you about. Wedding. So we'll get to that in a moment. Just want to make sure I'm stamping straight. And Trying to decide if I want it off to the side. No, I think I want it centered. But wouldn't that make a pretty wedding card or an anniversary card? Could even be for an engagement. So let's finish this off. And I think I haven't decided what card base I'm putting this on. I think I would like to use a Mary Merlot card base for this one. So 5.5 inches by 8.5. Score at 4 1/4. Who all knows those measurements just by heart? You rattle them off, right? If you do lots of card making. Oh, Melanie, I'm just looking up and see your comment about bigger on the bottom. Okay, good, because that's what I was thinking, and it worked out that way, and others agree. Awesome. Now, isn't that beautiful? And here's a great example of simple stamping. Stamps, ink, and paper, right? We have lots of extra products, bells and whistles and embellishments and all kinds of things, dies, punches, you name it. But sometimes just simple stamping is awesome. I like to call it kiss and sip. Keep it simple stamping with stamps, ink, and paper. Love it. And I will add just a little bit of embellishment. On the others, I use the rustic metallic dots, which I like a lot, especially because with blending the background a bit, it adds a little more antique or weathered look, chic look, shabby chic look. And then, but this, for a wedding, I have two thoughts on this. There are these little hearts. Some are just kind of a shiny white, opaque white, and then like a pearly white. Or we could use regular pearls. But I'm thinking I'm going to go with one of these. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, opaque, white, shiny, or pearl. The pearl's not doing it for me. I really like the opaque, but I think I'm going with this one just because I used opaque last time. So we gotta use some different things, don't we? See how my mind thinks? And I'm gonna put one up here. And I'm gonna put a small one over here. And then I'm gonna do one more over here. All right. So now there are two examples of the torn paper technique. We tore one edge, and on the second sheet we tore two edges, and I have no idea what I did with my plastic sleeve for these, so I will put those over there. Now, a couple, I'm not going to make any more cards. I will give both of these away tonight, so hang on. But I do want you to see a couple more things that you can do with the masking paper. So you can cut, I have to think about this a second. What size do I want? I'm going to go 3/8 of an inch. So you can cut several strips of the masking paper. And you can make some designs with these, even shapes. You can also die cut with your masking paper. I have not tried to punch it. Maybe I'll try that with you guys here. So, but what I'm doing here is cutting several strips. And I'm going to make a design here. Come on. There we go. Typically pulls up very, the backing typically pulls off very easily. But I'm just going to, let's do it this way. Oops, I should have some scrap paper underneath. So I'm going to use my blending brush. So I'm just going to take these and you can decide on the width you want, how much space you want between strips. You could do varying spaces, even spacing. Possibilities are endless. Okay, usually comes up super easily, but of course not now because I have all kinds of people watching. Oh, you're thinking doing a stained glass look. Jenny, ooh, that would be something. Has anybody purchased the masking paper yet or used it? I'd love to see how everybody's using theirs. Okay. Now I'm just going to do a little bit more, but you get the idea here. You can cover up the entire cardstock if you want, or you can cover up part of it like I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do one more. But you could do the entire thing like this. Horizontal lines, vertical lines, diagonals. You could do like a checkerboard. And then what I'm going to do is just add some color to it. You know what, let's move on. Well, I'll use the same colors. Now when you're using your blending brushes, remember it's a good idea, tap it in your ink pad and then you want to just blend off the paper first. And then you move on to the cardstock and start your blending. This is really light and subtle here. And I'm kind of going to try and keep that light and subtle look. I have not made a sample of what's in my head, so I'm hoping it's going to turn out like I'm thinking. Okay, so that's it. And now I'm just going to carefully pull these back Seems to be pulling up my cardstock a little bit. Remember, you want to pull slowly and pull straight across. Okay, I definitely pulled up some of the cardstock here, and I think that's because I was pulling at more of an angle upward instead of straight across. Yep, I did the same thing there. Hold on. There we go. After I pull these others, I'll pull up that little bit that's still left from that last one I pulled up. But I'm just getting some fun stripes in here. Again, don't stick it down any harder than you need to. Just really nice, soft, subtle stripes I created. And I'm going to use my piercing tool to pull this up, or my spatula. Yes, that works great, I think. There we go. And if there's any of that sticky residue left, I'll just pull that up with my adhesive remover. We used to sell the adhesive remover. Stampin' Up! Does not sell it now. I hope they bring it back someday, but you can find it in a craft store, Amazon, and it's just called adhesive remover. Oh, red, white, and blue. That would be awesome. Yes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this direction, and I'm going to stamp hello in the bottom corner. That's with Mary Merlot. I use soft succulent for the stripes. And now I'm going to do some stamping right in the center. My Evening Evergreen ink pad is very juicy. I think after I did all that work for Andrea's wedding using this, I re-inked it and probably got a little heavy on the ink. All right, and then I think I'm going to add this. And for this one, I'm also going to use the Mary Merlot, or no, the Evening Evergreen, but I'm thinking I'm going to stamp off first. Yeah. And I'll finish off with my Mary Merlot berries, or pods, whatever you want to think of them as, like that. I'm going to do some speckle with my Sahara sand. Just like that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is, okay, I wasn't going to make a complete card, but I'm headed that direction, so I might as well, because I wanted to show you then you can add a pretty bow as well. which means you're in luck tonight because I'm making an extra card, which means what? What? You know, right? Mary's going to give away an extra card. You know, I have to say, I'm sure some people may think it's not a big deal. And I make lots and lots of cards. So for me to give them away randomly just because is lots of fun. And I'm always amazed at people's reaction to a handmade card. And I'm sure the people are going to get it and use it, you know, probably enjoy it for some time, but then use it and bring joy to somebody else with it. But I love getting the messages saying, oh, yay, I'm a winner, or whatever it may be. I'm going to add just a little more splatter up here. Whoops, that's not the color I wanted. That's too dark. Make it a little bit more balanced up here. Since I'm adding that bow. There, that's better. I feel better about that. Okay. But yes, it's just, to me, it's just really delightful. So I have fun creating it. I have fun giving it away and, you know, telling the winner, you know, that they won, contact me with their address. And then I get a message saying how much they love it, or that they've received it, or they're excited to be a winner. And it just makes, I don't know, it just makes me feel so good. Okay, I was thinking about doing this. Oh, that's not enough color for me. How about soft suede? I'm thinking out loud and talking to myself. Okay, this I really like. Yes. Any of the greens, the soft succulent, the evening evergreen, or even the Mary Merlot would be great for this card front. I almost like a little too much, but I'm not going to be selfish. I'm going to give it away, like I said. Okay, so what do you think? Now, the other thing I was going to tell you, or show you, we are at about an hour, and I hate to keep people too long. But my other thought is you can die cut, or perhaps even punch with the masking paper. So let me just pull out, let's see here. All right, let's use this one. Let's try this one. Sticking with the same suite. This could be hard to pull up though. Maybe I should do something not quite so detailed. Hold on a second. You know what? We're just going for it because I can't decide. So what you could do, I'm going to try and use this scrap here. And like I said, it might work a little better with something that's not quite as detailed. But I'm going to give this a try and see if we can cut this, die cut this from the masking paper. And then use this to make a little card front or tag or something. So it really cut very, very well. No issues with that. This is, oops, it's actually quite thin, the masking paper. So it cut very easily with the dies. But now I just have to find a place where I can pull it apart a little bit, which is going to be the tricky part of this, I can tell. There we go. So it looks like when you're trying to pull the backing, if you just kind of roll a corner, that seems to work. Look how easily that pulled off. So now I can put this on, I don't even know what size this is, but I'm using it. And then, where's my scrap paper? Then I'm just going to do the very same thing. I'll do soft succulent again because that's the blending brush I have out here with the soft succulent on. Remember, start on blending on your scrap paper and then move on to the cardstock. Okay, that color's pretty subtle, so I'm going to add some more. When you're blending like this, kind of think of less is more. Sometimes I get a little heavy-handed, and I have to remind myself that it's actually a softer look if I just tap lightly once or twice into my ink pad and then lightly do the blending. And you can keep adding color upon color upon color, but you can never take away. Or if it gets blotchy, it's blotchy for good. You're not going to be able to. So in other words, if you tap into your ink and go right down and you start blending, you're going to end up with something like that, a splotch. And once you have that, you can't get out of it or can't get rid of it. Also, when I first started using the blending brushes, I would tend to put ink all the way around the brush, and it's really not necessary. It's you just don't need all of that. And it's curved, so it's going to take the ink best right there and do the most blending in the center. So you don't really need all that anyways. So there was a little bit of a learning curve there for me when I started with blending brushes, but I love them. Okay, and then let's pull this up. Okay, how cool is this? Ah, I love it. What do you think? Okay. I gotta measure this. I gotta see what size this is. Because this could be, oh, I might have to turn this into a little note card or something. So this is like 2 3/4. I'm gonna, yeah. Take off just a little bit more so the branch is more centered. Actually, I'm going to go even more. It's not quite, I'm going to go down to 2.5, and then I'll be able to layer it and make a 3x3 little card or gift enclosure, whatever you want to call it. But isn't that so cool? And it's just perfectly smooth. It looks like a piece of paper. I love it. So think of using your masking paper in that way as well. Okay. So And I'm sure there are many, many, many more ways to use the masking paper. I hope it's something that maybe you all will try. Make a purchase and maybe add on, if you're already ordering something, maybe add on the masking paper and then give it a try. Should I just finish this off? I really should just finish this off now into a little note card. Let's do that. So what did I say? 2.5 by 2.5. I'm gonna go with a piece of white that measures, I'm gonna do 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. And then I'm going to mount that on, this is, what is this? What am I thinking? So saffron. So I'm going to cut 6 inches by 3 inches. You know, this is a really nice break. I'm trying to get ready for vacation, trying to work on blog posts. I've been doing crazy amounts of computer work all week. I haven't had enough exercise. And boy, what a nice break this is. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna get on, show one card today. It'll be a quick Facebook Live and I'll get back to finishing my packing. I like cleaning my house before I go away. So I have a clean, nice clean house to come home to. Need to run up to the store really fast because I need to pick up one more thing. But no, this was so much better. This was so much better than the evening I had planned. And you know what? The other stuff will still get done, right? I love soft succulent and so saffron together. I really do. And I feel like I need a little bow and little something there. Hold on. We're going to do a soft succulent bow. Easy peasy, right? I rarely show something, like show a step or a technique or a variation and not do a card. But tonight I thought, I'm keeping it simple, short and sweet. Oh no, see, I'm like, I've trained myself. You gotta work till completion. So even though that was the plan, I changed my mind. Didn't want to do that. But that, you know what, that's the fun thing about trying something new. And for me, that's kind of how I work, to be honest. Idea pops into my head and I just want to keep going. So sometimes, like tonight, you kind of get to see how I think, how I roll, how I design, how I just kind of, I guess, design on the fly would be a good way to say it. Sometimes I have a vision and it comes together exactly like I think, and other times I have a vision and as I'm creating, other ideas pop into my head and I decide to go off in a different direction. And typically, either way I do it, it works. Beth, I'm glad you like the different ways of using the masking tape. So how's that? All right, who wants to, okay, now I have 4 things. I'm just gonna give them all away. Just gonna give them all away. Give me a few days. I'm on vacation, but I'll want to take pictures before I get these in the mail. So I'm not 100% sure that they will go in the mail tomorrow before I leave on vacation. but if not, as soon as I come back. So those are it. All right, you're waiting to hear what you should put in the comments to be entered into the drawing, aren't you? If you would like to receive one of these cards or the gift enclosure, please type in the comments now, masking paper. Masking paper. Okay. I'm looking at all of them, and I love all of the variations. One thing I thought of too with this while I was making that, I think they're called fabulous frames, many fabulous frames, something like that. That set of dies that just literally cuts out frames. I thought that would be a cool one to use with the masking paper. So I will choose 4 winners. So good luck. I'm looking for the words masking paper in the comments. Final reminders, I will be on vacation starting tomorrow afternoon until either at least through the 30th, possibly the 31st. And, but that does not mean I'm unreachable. If you need me for any reason, have a question about your product, or, I don't know, want to join my team, I'm always happy to get new people on my team. We're the Merry Stampers, MERRY. And, gosh, what else? Place an order, anything. Please email me. That will be the best way to get a hold of me, or text or direct message, okay? And all my contact information is at the bottom of my newsletters. You can also message me through Facebook Direct Messenger, or leave a comment on my blog, stampinpeace.com. There are lots of ways to get a hold of me, okay? So I will check for messages once a day, and I will do my best to reply to people within 24 hours while I'm gone. And I'm looking forward to having some fun time at the beach with my family. And until we meet again, happy stamping. Please do something creative. And while you're creating, please post it to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe or the Stampin' Peace VIP group. I love it when all of you post. I really do. To me, it's just a fun surprise. I get to see my stuff all the time. I want to see what other people are making. And also check out the Hope and Peace class to go. You can find that information on stampinpeace.com. Have a great weekend. Or rest of the, yeah, it is a weekend. It's Thursday. Yes, have a great weekend. Good night, and happy stamping.